Hi, I'm Manfredini, and in this video, or actually series of videos, I'm gonna walk you through the process of doing kind of a refresh to your kitchen. This particular kitchen is ours, and it's 2005. These are cherry cabinets, and the countertop is kind of a dated granite. And so the idea of what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take all the doors down, I'm going to sand them, I'm going to prime them, I'm going to spray them. We're going to have the countertops replaced as well to update it. And you know, a lot of this, what happens with these projects is it comes because of something you didn't plan. The oven range behind us just got replaced because the one that was there was from 2005 and they didn't make parts for it anymore. So a couple of the burners didn't work. And we entertained quite a bit, and I was like, this is crazy, we need all these burners. So we invested in a really good range and a cooktop, which we really like. And then we're like, man, we should really kind of update this. Now, the layout of the kitchen really suits us well. It kind of has a unique two-sink thing back there, which is kind of cool. And the cabinet layout themselves are good, and the cabinets are in good shape. What we're gonna try and do is paint these kind of a gray. Actually, the color we're using is a Benjamin Moore color called charcoal slate. And then we're gonna do white countertops. I was a builder and I've done a lot of this kind of stuff and I really do enjoy it. And so I'm gonna try and walk you through it and show you things that I do, hopefully give you some insight that you have the motivation and the confidence that you can do it yourself. It's amazing what you can do with a little bit of paint. Now there's going to be a bunch of series of videos. I'll be wearing different clothes, so I know it'll look like I'm at Cher at a concert with all my wardrobe changes, but just when I put it all together, hopefully you'll have something that makes a lot of sense. And again, right now, I don't know how it's going to look. I think it's going to look great when it's all said and done, and we'll take you through the process and hopefully you enjoy it. Now, I've got the floor all protected with some paper, and that's just for, you know, walking through so you don't damage the hardwood floors. We had these floors refinished last year, so I want to try and make sure they still look good. One of the things that can happen when you're doing this work, if you have to move the fridge out into the kitchen, if you don't take extra care, you can damage the floor. You'll do all this work, you know, trying to update and kind of spruce up your kitchen, and then you get these two little ruts in the wood floor. It'll drive you bananas, trust me. This is a little 1/8-inch piece of masonite that you can get at the lumber yard, and I got it cut down to a couple pieces. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of jam this right in front of the fridge. There are feet, you know, that help level the fridge that you're going to need to take a wrench and adjust up. Now, then you got to make sure that the rollers are touching the floor, and you're going to need to grab underneath this thing, manhandle it or woman handle it, depending on what you are, and pull it onto the masonite. And I've got another piece that I'm going to put in front so I can roll it all out. I've got to do some cabinet work where I'm changing the height of a cabinet because we're going to actually replace this refrigerator. Now it's time to remove the doors, and these are European hinges, and so you're going to open up the door, and there's a hinge there. There's a little button on the back. You click out on all three, and then you just pop the door off. Now be careful, you don't want to scratch these doors. You want to limit the amount of sanding you have to do and just work your way around the kitchen. Take each door off and, you know, do a few at a time. A screw gun with a Phillips head bit and a bucket so you can take all the hinges, save every hinge, save every screw. I put it all in one bucket so that I know it's all there, and you're just going to slowly and methodically pull it all apart. I just want to be completely honest in the video. I know that this video is all about painting cabinets, but one of the other things that I'm doing that probably most of you won't do, I don't want to judge, but I'm actually building some cabinets because on this wall, I didn't have the greatest picture beforehand, but there was a couple cabinets here, and we had a microwave, and there was a little beverage cooler. We entertained quite a bit, and so we wanted to add a second oven. And I decided that what I was going to do was build this cabinet. Ultimately, what's going to happen is an electric convection oven is going to go here, a microwave oven above here, and then I'm going to put a cabinet here, build some doors. I'm going to put a beverage cooler down here. I'm going to build a cabinet here, and then something over here. It's kind of funky because of the old fireplace that's behind here. It's kind of janky, but I'm going to try and put those pull-out racks in here. If I'm successful, it'll all look great. But I didn't want to, at the very end of this, show you everything going, wait a minute, where'd that come from? He never talked about it. So I just wanted to tell you that's what I'm doing over here. Okay, I'm ready to start doing the sanding. This is really the most important thing. Now, there's plenty of paints out there that you can use that claim you don't have to sand. And I've tried them, and they work pretty well. I did do a kitchen makeover at our son and daughter-in-law's place using Beyond Paint. And the idea behind the Beyond Paint is that you just have to degrease and clean it up and then go ahead and put it on. In the end, it looked great. The one thing I will tell you about that product is that it takes a while to cure, like a good 30 days. And the durability is pretty good. I wish it was a little stronger, but it's really good. And if you don't want to spray and do the kind of work that I'm going to do, then it probably is the way to go. Stay right there. I want to show you what I'm going to use. I am using, once I do the sanding, I'm using this insl-x, which is a waterborne primer called Sticks. And it kind of goes on anything. You can see you can use it on tile. And then I'm using the Clark & Kensington cabinet door and trim paint. It is a self-leveling semi-gloss finish. And the color that we're going to do is charcoal slate, which is a Benjamin Moore color. The key is the sanding. And what I want to do is get the finish off just to clean it up a little bit. You don't have to go crazy, but if you think about it, you know, when you have a cabinet like this that was stained and has a finish on it, well, the whole idea behind that finish is it's to keep stuff from sticking to it. So if we can just expose that, a little bit of the graining, not crazy, I'm going to use a pad sander like this, a little quarter sheet sander. This one's a DeWalt, actually cordless one. I'm going to use fine sandpaper just to kind of open this up a little bit and clean it up. Then we'll get to the painting, the priming, and then the painting. This is the part that takes time, so you need to have patience. 90% of a good paint job is the prep work you do beforehand. And when it comes to cabinets, that's super important. In the video, I didn't want to show you like all the sanding, but it literally has taken me not a solid 2 days, but I've got everything sanded. Now I'm going to sort of set up, I have something in mind, not to do all the doors at once, but to have like a production thing. So once I set up the sprayer, I can go and at least do, I don't know, my goal would be to do at least 10 doors at a time, if not more. Let's see what happens. Now I'm going to clean these off a little bit first. I'm going to use a air gun to blow off any dust in the nooks and crannies. Then maybe a little duster like a Swiffer just to get it all, and then wipe it down with a damp rag. I'm ready to start priming, and you want to make sure you do it in a well-ventilated area. I'm actually in a garage. Behind you, what you can't see is the garage door is wide open. It's a beautiful day, not too windy. I'm going to do the back side so I can practice and get it just right, and this will give me a chance to get the right feel, the right settings after I practice a little bit on the boards. Now I use a Wagner spray gun on this, and I have to tell you, the primer is the secret sauce. This is what's going to give the durability to the whole thing. Once it dries, this primer takes about 16 hours to dry. I'm going to flip it over and do the other side, and then let it rest. So the primer is now all cured, and I actually had a problem with that Wagner sprayer, and I switched to a Graco gun, which I'm using now, to apply the Clark & Kensington gray paint. This is where you have to really take your time, and you got to get all of the edges back and forth, and watch that cord because you don't want to drape it across the cabinet. And it really goes on well. I'm super impressed by how the paint goes on, and I think it's the combination between the quality of this self-leveling paint by Clark & Kensington and this Sticks primer. And now you just keep going and you work your way around and you just let it set up. Once it all dries, then it's time to put it all back together. Set up a little table, put a towel down there because we don't want to scratch all this work that you just did. And, clean it up. If you see any marks there, make sure that they're looking good, wipe it all down, put it all back together, and just take your time. Now I'm putting these little bumpers on the cabinet doors as well so that everything looks really nice. And again, being very careful not to scratch everything as you put it all back together. And you're going to be amazed by the results. I mean, you just start hanging it in the reverse of what you just did and put those doors back on. One of the things that I'm also going to do is put a backsplash, a tile backsplash in this after the countertops go in. And I'm just doing a basic subway tile backsplash, which I think, never goes out of style, and it'll really, really look nice when it's all done. Just take your time. This is not about a backsplash, but look at how nice this completed kitchen looks. It's amazing, isn't it? You watch a video and at the end of it, the kitchen's completely done. It was a lot of work. I gotta be honest with you. You really have to commit to it. Me, once I get going, I can't stop. It's kind of like a crazy possessed thing. It took me about 4 weeks to do it. My buddy Mike J made the cabinet doors. I did those, I painted those, I hung those for the cabinets that I built, which I showed you earlier in the video. I hope this was helpful. I hope that the transformation inspires you to do your own work. It is amazing, like I said earlier, what you can do with a little coat of paint. My wife and I are really happy. It's a great update. It brightens up the whole entire home. And remember this, when it comes to doing a kitchen, you can take some risks, right? Because it's a separate entity. Even in a house that's connected and it's right there, if you go with a completely different look, it's okay. And it's amazing what you can do with paint. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be doing some more projects and hopefully you'll see them here on our YouTube page.